Hello everybody, my name is Lucky Luxray, and today I am bringing you the first round of playoffs for the NCPL Season 10 of the Pokemon Draft League. This time it's Robin's Rules. The way the playoffs work is first to 2 wins, so you battle them 3 times. The first player to get 2 wins out of the 3 advances into the next round of playoffs. This time I'm going up against Christian. I think he went 4-3. And he has a very good team, very good team, and he was able to get a win over Jonas, I think, in the season. So that really helped him, like, say, hey, I'm very good. And Jonas is widely considered to be one of the best, if not the best, in the NCPL. So getting a win over him is significant. You guys have seen Jonas on the channel before. There's a video somewhere of me battling him, but we going into this match, this is the first time I'm battling this guy, and I've never battled this guy before. There's a lot of newcomers into this, so I didn't know how he was going to play. So I just kind of went out there and sent what I thought would be the best for the teams. I built 2 teams for Christian, and you'll see how they play out. The first team is Nasty Plot Mega Zam. That's almost standard at this point, with Psyshock, Shadow Ball, and Focus Blast to cover everything that's there. Specs Raging Bolt, Under the Sun, I thought was amazing in this. Electric and Dragon. Unfortunately, he brought his electric resistance or immunities. He didn't bring a fairy type, so that's great. That's good for me. So Dragon was kind of spammable. Then we have specially defensive Torkoal with just heavy duty boots. We have a Rocky Helmet defensive Mandibuzz, because I was afraid of everything that his physical threats were. And then there's a Life Orb special Victory Bell with Hidden Power Ground for the Iron Moth. And then Quiver Dance Oricorio Ghost, because I thought it was good here. Shadow Ball was pretty spammable against his team, so I figured, okay, let's just get a Quiver Dance immediately and just start throwing off Shadow Balls. So I will get into the second team whenever we get into the second battle, but let's go ahead and get into the first one. So I lead off with the Oricorio because I'm like, well, let's start setting up Quiver Dances and throwing off Shadow Balls, because that's what I said I was going to do. He gets a Toxic off on the Oricorio, which is good for him because that starts shipping me away. I throw off a Revelation Dance, not Shadow Balls, but a Ghost move in general. Throw off Revelation Dances and I get rid of the Bronzong. Great, that's gone. I don't have to worry about that anymore. That opens up a little bit for, well, actually, it was kind of bad enemy as a whole. I go for Alluring Voice because I didn't want to risk missing Hurricane, and Hurricane did similar damage. The calcs were maybe like 0.5% off, and I wasn't really worried about that whenever it came to rolls, so I just went for the Alluring Voice to ensure KO, and if I crit, cool, I got to get rid of this Silvally Dragon. So then I go into Mega Alakazam, and I'm like, well, I can just free Psyshock because nothing's going to want to take it. He goes into Jellicent, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to stay in and take a Shadow Ball because I don't know if this can live or whatever. So I just go into Raging Bolt for a safe switch in, and I'm like, great. So now I'm going for Dragon Pulse because he has 2 switch-ins very easily into Raging Bolt, and I didn't want to get locked into an electric move against 2 of his immunities. When half of his team is immune to electric, I'm probably never going to click an electric move. So he decides to stay in, which is good for him. I do almost half, but he Ice Beams and gets a lot of chip off on my Raging Bolt, so I'm like, crap. But I'm not switching out. I'm just going to keep clicking Dragon Pulse because I can't switch out. I mean, I can go into Torkoal and Rapid Spin maybe, but there's really no reason for me to if I know that Alakazam can come in and finish off whatever I need, or same with the Victory Bell. So I just click Dragon Pulse and I get rid of the Zeraora real quick. Like, that's not even a problem anymore. He goes into Landorus. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to sack this. And he clicks the Rock Polish. And I'm like, oh no, this can be a problem. This can kind of be a problem. I have Mandibuzz, so I'm not really too worried about it. But now he's faster than my Alakazam, so I can't Revenge Kill it. Dragon Pulse does 81, so I know this isn't really that bulky. I'm like, okay. So I have to rely on my bulky Mons in order to take this out. Citrus Berry recovers his HP, and he clicks Sludge Wave. So this tells me he's special. I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm just going to go right into Mana Buzz because I know I can live. He clicks Nasty Plot. What? Nasty Plot Landorus with Rock Polish? Are you kidding me? This man's a genius. I was blown away. That's an awesome set. I absolutely love it. I didn't watch any of his matches beforehand, which is a failure on my end, I would say, because I should have paid attention to what sets can be brought. But Nasty Plot Rock Polish Landorus I thought was amazing. So I get the Toxic off because I'm thinking, well, I need to put this on a timer and Brave Bird will not kill it. So he clicks Sludge Wave again, and I'm just roosting because I'm like, whatever hit he's going for, I know I can live it. I can just go ahead and eat it up. I can roost off the damage, and I'm just going to keep clicking roost. He goes into Iron Moth, but I think that, you know what? At this point, I can just go for the Brave Bird to get the chip or just KO this because I really don't need Mana Buzz for anything after this Landorus. So I click Brave Bird to get the chip on the Iron Moth. I'm like, okay, cool. Torkoal's free because I have a specially defensive mon for this. He clicks Agility. I'm like, it's okay. This thing's going to be dangerous. Very, very, very dangerous. So I'm like, I'm not going to play around with this. I'm just going to Earthquake immediately. I'm not even playing around with the Fiery Dance chance of getting the plus special attack. I'm not risking it. He goes into Landorus. And I'm like, okay, I don't need Torkoal anymore because that's gone. He goes for the Sandsear Storm, which is a special move that only Landorus gets now. This is a bonkers set. Rock Polish, Sludge Wave, Nasty Plot, Sandsear Storm. It's incredible. Landorus is one of the goats. And I'm like, okay, sun's up. I can outspeed this with Victor Bell, and I can just win with Giga Drain spam. And I will take game one of the series, and fortunately enough for him, he lives the Giga Drain, which he can't really do much back to me other than an Ice Beam. That puts me down to 1. It didn't matter because Alakazam was gonna be able to come in and revenge kill it anyway, so it didn't matter in the long run. But I'm able to clean up with my Victor Bell and secure the first game of playoffs. So let's go ahead and get into the second one right away. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I have the same Alakazam set because I don't really need to switch anything off with it. I have Max Special Attack Assault Vest Raging Bolt. I have Specs Torkoal because I wanted to bring an offensive Torkoal just one time, and I was like, well, this can be the time I do it. I have Physically Defensive Slitherwing with EQ, U-Turn, Will-O-Wisp, and Morning Sun just to be a defensive pivot to stop the Zeraora if need be. I know it has Play Rough, but I can try. Same with the Silvally Dragon. Life Orb Tauros Sheer Force with Ice Beam, just in case the Landorus wants to be cheeky and be defensive. You notice that he didn't switch up his lineup for his team. You do have the option to switch teams during the playoffs. He didn't switch any of his Pokemon around game 2, at least from what I see. He might have changed items, sets, stuff like that, but I didn't notice anything of the sort. So let's go ahead and get into game 2. So I lead off with Torkoal because he led off with Bronzong last time. I'm going to assume he's going to do the same. I'm like, great, I can just fire off an Eruption. He brings in Jellicent. That's a free switch for him. Cool, that's fine. I'm like, well, I'm going to go into Raging Bolt because there's no reason for me to stay in on a water move. He goes for Shadow Ball. Great, I'm Assault Vest. Now I'm like, for sure, he's going in to his electric immunities, but he stays in again, and I'm like, god damn it, dude, I should have just clicked electric move. It is what it is, but it was kind of frustrating because, like, man, you have 2 electric immunities and you're not going to any of them on my electric attacking mon. But in all fairness, he didn't really need to. For all I know, this could have been Wakanberry, so like, it doesn't matter in the long run. But I was frustrated myself for just not clicking what was in front of me. But I mean, it didn't matter in the end. And the Ice Beams in the Spadef drop from the Shadow Ball matters because that gets more chip on Raging Bolt. Now he goes into Bronzong. I'm like, well, screw it. I'm just going to click Volt Switch, and if he switches out into that, whatever. I bring in Torkoal. I'm like, great. I get to fire off another Eruption. He gets a Stealth Rocks up. That kind of sucks for me, but that's okay. And now he's going to go back into Jellicent to click Recover so he can get his Recover back off. But I'm going right back into Raging Bolt because I'm like, well, I mean, oh, he doesn't even recover. He clicks Shadow Ball. I'm like, great. We're in the same position last time. But I'm just going to click Dragon Pulse because it could kill, and it doesn't. It lives on 1, which, okay, whatever. That's fine. But it was annoying again. Jellicent is a bulky mon, very underrated, very specially defensive, very good. He just knocks me out with a Shadow Ball. Goodbye, Raging Bolt. You did what you had to do. Alakazam comes out. Free Mega, free Water Absorb, free Shadow Ball. Popping it off. This is where he goes into Silvally Dragon. I'm like, great. I can either stay in, hit this thing really hard with a Psy Shock, or I can switch into Torkoal to eat a physical hit, fire off, whatever, probably get rid of these rocks. That's what my game plan was, to get rid of these rocks so I can have my Mandibuzz still be, you know, a good threat. The Madman clicks Thunder Wave. Cool. That was a good play. Then he clicks Swords Dance. And I'm on my Rapid Spin. And I'm like, okay. What do I do? I can't stay in on this. Because if he is Flame Charge, I lose. I lose right here. Thunder Wave, multi-attack, Swords Dance, Flame Charge, I lose immediately. There's nothing I can do. Not a thing I can do. So I'm like, well, I have to switch out immediately into my physically defensive mon that I brought for this battle, which is my Slitherwing. And he Swords Dances again, gets multi-attacked. Great, love that. So now I have to go into Tauros to weaken this thing. I click Body Slam, and he kind of misplays here. He goes for the Thunder Wave and it hits. Not bad. In the sense of it worked out for him. I don't think he had Flame Charge, which is why he never clicked it. But if he missed Thunder Wave, he was in a much worse position, because Tauros 2 KO'd this, and I still had a healthy Tauros that can pressure like Landorus as what I assume would have come out, and I would have clicked Ice Beam, which would have did a lot of damage to it. And potentially Speed Tie with Iron Moth. So Thunder Wave here was a misplay in theory, because it could have missed. Worked out because he landed it, and then he multi-attacks me anyway to get rid of the Tauros, but I got the chip off that I needed for Alakazam to come in and just finish it off. So I click the Psy Shock, and I'm like, great. So he goes into Zeraora. I'm like, okay, I think this thing can live still. And he goes for the double. He doubles into Iron Moth. Great prediction on his end, because he knew that I didn't want to risk anything on that, and he goes into Iron Moth. Like, okay, well, this kind of sucks. But I go into Mega Alakazam on the agility. I'm like, crap, this sucks. But the Fiery Dance is not enough to KO me, and I just Psy Shock this out of the way. But he got enough chip on this for Landorus to knock it out with whatever it wants to go for. But I'm just like, I'm going to get my chip. He gets a Citrus Berry. And he clicks Earthquake. And you see that he did switch up the set to now is a physical Landorus. I'm like, great. My Mandibuzz kind of walls this. And I go for the Brave Bird to get the chip off. Does 20% to the Zeraora. This is the turn that I messed up. You can see that he goes for Plasma Fists. Great. It does 55%. And then Rocky Helmet damage. I should have clicked Roost. I think it didn't matter in the long run, but it definitely would have changed the outcome a little bit. It could have, based on what he kept clicking. Because if he keeps clicking Plasma Fists, I only have 8 Roosts. However, 16 times 8 is more than 100. And if he keeps hitting Plasma Fists into my Mandibuzz, Rocky Helmet will eventually take him out, even with his Citrus Berry. But I knock off, and he reveals the Citrus Berry, and I'm like, okay. Torkoal, if I switch in Torkoal, can live 2 Plasma Fists. He gets 38% roll. Okay, now it's a roll to KO Torkoal. He goes for Plasma Fists again, and Torkoal goes down. So that's looking like a GG to me. Mandibuzz comes out, he clicks Plasma Fists, and Mandibuzz goes down. So I lose my first match of the entire season in the first round of playoffs. I'm like, okay. I kind of have a feeling of how he plays, and kind of already know the team he's going to bring because he's very comfortable with it. So we go into game 3. I bring the first team again, but I change Raging Bolt's item to Assault Vest instead of choice specs. And I lead off with Alakazam, because every single time we've played, he has led off with Bronzong, and I think Alakazam can immediately just set up in front of the Bronzong, because he's going to want to get rocks up. But he leads with Jellicent, and I'm like, son of a bitch! But that's okay, because I can go right into Raging Bolt, because this has been my switch into it every single time. It's Assault Vest now, so I can eat that up. And this time, I go for an electric move in front of the water type. I learned. I figured he hasn't done it yet. He's not going to do it now. I click Volt Switch, get the crit, go into my Torkoal to set up the Sun, just in case he wants to go for a water move. He goes for Ice Beam, because that's what I think he's going to go for, because it's a Dragon type, and he's been clicking Ice Beam on that thing all series. So I go into Torkoal. He clicks Shadow Ball as I set up my rocks, because I want to break any Sash potential on anything in case he changed it. And you can see that in Game 3 he hasn't changed a single Mon, but he has changed sets, so that's important to know. I'm like, okay, cool. I have my rocks up. I'm going right into Raging Bolt because I'm not even worried about it. My Photosynthesis is up. I can click Dragon Pulse free. There's nothing that can switch into this except for Bronzong, but I'm not really worried about that. He got another special defense drop, by the way. This dude's been getting special defense drops on my Raging Bolt this entire time. But he brings out his Bronzong, and I'm like, well, I'm just going to click Volt Switch, and I'm going to go right into Mega Alakazam, because I'm going to start breaking. I want to start breaking down his team. And he clicks Toxic. This is important because I don't Mega yet. I go straight for the Nasty Plot on his Stealth Rock. And this is important because if I would have Mega'd, I would have took some chip. Some chip damage. But instead of me not doing that right away, I can go right for the Shadow Ball because it KOs the Bronzong, and I'm still at 100%. But the next time I take damage, I'll be taking 24%. He goes into Silvally Dragon. This is where I Mega Evolve, and I click Psyshock, and it OHKOs the Silvally. I take the 24%. He goes into Landorus. I'm like, well, I'm not switching out. There's no reason for me to switch out. And in case he's physical, I traced the Intimidate, because I can't trace the RKS system from the Silvally. And this is the first time I could have traced an ability from a Pokemon. So then I just go for the Psyshock again. KOs it. Great. I'm up 6-2. I take the 30-some% of damage, or the 24, that time, was it 24, 37? Something like that. I go for the Psyshock again, because I'm like, I'm not switching out. There's no reason for me to switch out. Alakazam has done more than enough, and I have 5 Pokemon in the back that can beat his 2 in front of me. He ended up not having Fake Out and Zeraora, which really helped me, because I didn't have to worry about priority in Mega Alakazam taking chip. So the Zeraora goes down. Lovely. And now I still have a healthy Alakazam to take on his Booster Energy Iron Moth, and I click Psyshock, and this game was just the showcase of Mega Alakazam, and how sometimes, like, even the slightest misprep can let this thing run through a team. So, with that being said, I make it through the first round of playoffs with a 2-1 victory over Christian. His team was very good. He's a very good battler as well. And the next week, the next round of playoffs, I'm going up against Jared in the Maple Ridge Entei. He's also a very good battler. I think he went 5-2. Not the first time he's been to playoffs, so he's a returner. And he's just very excited to battle these people I haven't battled before and show, hey, I'm trying to make a run for the championship. So, with that being said, I will see you guys next week for the top 8 of playoffs against Jared. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I guess I have to say that after the video, because I've been told that I should say that. But it doesn't really matter. I do this for fun. But I will see you guys in the next one.